So she goes, she was so happy, and she goes to my stomach, and she's like, "Oh, the baby, hi." And I'm looking at her and pushing her away, like, "No, stop. I'm not happy. I'm scared. I'm frustrated." And she totally understood. So she went, got my lunch for me, and I ate, and I went back to my counselor. And the rest of the day, I stood there. I didn't go to none of my classes or anything, and I just stood there and we talked. And that was that. That's how I found out I was pregnant. And that day, when I got out of school, I told my mom I'm going. I got home like nothing, like excuse me. Hey, take me to Tanya's restaurant. I'm gonna go over there for a while. And she's like, all right, I'll take you. And she took me. She didn't know what was going on or anything. And on the way there, I texted my sister like, I'm pregnant. I told her everything. Excuse me. I told her everything that was going on, and she met me at the restaurant. So I get to the restaurant, and I leave my phone. Louis wasn't there yet. I leave my phone on the table, and when you walk into your right, there's a table, and that just had to be where my phone was. And when he came in, he looked to the right and seen my phone, and I come running, and I'm like, no, try to grab it from him, and he's like, why are you not letting me see your phone? And I'm like, please, no, just give me my phone for a minute. He's like, no, so he started trying to look at my phone. So I run to the back, to the kitchen, and he walks out the door, and I go to his sister, and I go, Tanya, Louis just grabbed my phone, and all the text messages from me to her talking about me being pregnant was in my phone. I didn't delete them. And she was like, throw me the papers, of the proof and stuff. And she's running, and she jumps over the counter, like literally just jumped over the counter. And my sister's like, oh my God, come outside, come outside. We go outside, and Tanya showing, Louis the papers, and she goes, Crystal's pregnant. And his face was totally just like in belief, like he couldn't believe it and just shocked. And to me, he looked upset. So I was so emotional already as it was. So I ran to the bathroom, and I locked myself in there in the bathroom, and I just cried. I sobbed, I cried, and his sister comes and she's like, open the door, it's okay, open the door. And I'm like, no, he doesn't care, he don't want me to have it. I'm thinking all kinds of things. And not knowing, he was standing right next to her. And he goes, no, babe, open the door. I'm not upset. I'm just in shock. And he's like, please, just open the door. So I let him in. And Louis' sister pushes him towards me and go hug her, comfort her. And he grabs me, and I'm crying. And I'm like, he's like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I'm like, you're not happy. You don't want me to have it. And he's like, are you crazy? I'm happy. I'm just in shock. And at the time, I couldn't understand, because going through, I just lost my mother, and finding out I'm going to have a baby everything was just everywhere. So that's how he found out. And telling my mom, I had my mom's best friend tell her that I was pregnant. I was at school, and I was having one of those bad days. Like, I didn't care what people thought of me. My stomach was starting to get big, and I didn't care about people. And I texted my mom's best friends, like, they already knew. And I told them to tell my mom I couldn't do it, especially not alone by myself. So I texted her while I was in class, and I go, hey, what's up? And she's like, I'm pulling into your mom's driveway. And I go, oh my God, like, can you tell her? And she goes, are you ready? And I'm like, yeah. So she goes, all right, I'm going to walk in now and I'm going to tell her. Text you in a bit. An hour goes by. I'm just walking out my class. And I text her back, like, did you tell her? And she goes, yeah, I just told her. She's upset. She's upset, but she's calm. And she just wants to talk to you after school. And I was like, all right. That day, there was a softball game. My best friend was playing. And I stood at school as long as I could. I did not want to go home. I was avoiding going home because I knew what was to come. So my mom was passing by the school. And when you pass by the school, you see the yard, the field of, where the game is at. And she goes, when you come home, we have to talk. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And she's like, all right. Totally, like, cool with it. And she was in the car with my aunt and my grandmother, so I knew. They already knew. So, but they didn't look upset or anything. They looked at it like, happy. So I got home. I'm texting Louis like, I'm hungry. He's like, I'm bringing you some pizza. I'm like, okay. Oh, and by the way, my mom knows. And he's like, oh, God. So he comes. I get home. He pulls up. He stays outside in the car. And he stays in the car. And I walk in the door, and my mom's sitting there. And I sit down. And she goes, so you're pregnant? And I go, yeah. And she goes, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, for sure I'm keeping it. I'm not getting an abortion. And she's like, I understand. She's like, I understand. And she was upset. She was like, how can you get pregnant? Like, weren't you on birth control? And I told her, like, I stopped taking them. Like, I was forgetting. And I told her it was totally an accident. And we didn't mean to. And she's like, well, dummy, don't you know what happens when you have sex unprotected? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, duh, how you didn't mean to? And I'm like, I don't know. And she was upset. And she goes, all right, where's Louis? I want to speak to him. And I go, he's outside. She goes, call him in. So I called him in. He walks in. And she looks at him and goes, so you guys are going to have a baby. And I don't even remember the whole conversation, what happened. But she knew. She goes, you have to tell your father. And I go, I know. And I did not tell my father until, like, my family knew. Because thanks to my mother, she has a big mouth. And my family has a big mouth. And they talk. And you can't hide a secret from them. Telling a family member, because they will talk to each other and everybody know. So my father found out through the grapevine that I was pregnant, but I avoid seeing him. I avoid speaking to him, and I didn't tell him till I was like, I don't even know, 6 months. My great grandmother passed away. And that was when I seen him at her funeral. And he grabs me and he goes, I hear from a little birdie that I'm going to be a grandfather. And I go, yeah. And he grabs me and hugs me. He goes, oh, Crystal, I'm so happy. It's a blessing. And I was just like, he's happy. So that went well. He was happy. I guess you have to be happy, because you can't do nothing about it afterwards. Like, he knew that, all right, I'm pregnant, the damage was already done. So I just wanted to make this video for others to know about my story.